Hey everybody, welcome back to 13 Rings, an NFC East podcast. I'm your host Lucas with Maurice and Earl. And just a reminder for anybody listening to us, whether you're listening to us on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, or even iHeartRadio, make sure that you like this episode, leave a comment, subscribe, and share with your friends. It helps us grow our brand and make sure that we continue to give you great content. That being said, we are recording after week 14, and I can't believe we're almost done with week 14, guys. It's crazy, right? Like, the NFL regular season's almost done.
Flew by
For sure. Anybody got their Christmas trees up?
Of course.
I got a snow globe.
Does that
Wait,
count?
you don't have a Christmas tree?
In the snow globe.
Oh my gosh.
In
Earl,
the snow globe.
You gotta look. You and the wifey gotta do more. It's Christmas time.
Does
It's like a woodland critter Christmas, Earl.
does an animated
Really, we gonna say that now on
count?
the pod? I thought this was family friendly.
Hey,
Good gracious.
the kids don't know what we're referencing anyway.
They know. If you know, you know.
If
Yeah,
you know,
Lucas,
you
does
know.
an animated wallpaper count?
No, but I'll give you more credit than a small little snow globe.
How about this? I'm gonna go find myself the Charlie Brown Christmas tree. Does that
That would
count?
be wonderful. Yes, that would be wonderful. Actually, my daughter loves Charlie Brown, and she loves the Charlie Brown Christmas special. She's like, Charlie Brown. I'm like, yeah, let's put it on. Let's put it on.
I'm gonna call you the Great Pumpkin.
I am the Great Pumpkin. All bow before me. But we are in Christmas time, not Halloween time anymore. That being said, let's go. Before we get into the games, let's get to the predictions. Commanders are on a bye, so guys, I don't really got much to say, except that Jamison Crowder did end up getting put on the 21-day window to be reactivated, so we'll see what happens with him. He's been out most of the season. That being said, let's see here. Week 14, we had 2 people saying Dallas would lose, 2 people saying that Dallas would win. Who was who, Earl? Who do you think was supporting your team in week 14?
I would probably say Maurice, while Mal and you, Lucas, say a loss.
Actually, it was me and Maurice said that they had a loss, and you and Mal saying that they would win.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Well,
right.
yeah.
You have little faith in Maurice and Mal. Okay. Anyway, Giants. This was also a 50-50 split. Mal, who was the 2 that said that they would win, and who's the 2 that said that they would lose?
I think me and Earl said they'd win.
You would be correct. Obviously, I'm on a bye, so it doesn't matter. And then we all had dubs for the Eagles in this matchup. So I don't think we predicted it to be quite as close as it was.
Yeah.
That being said, I give the floor to the first person up today, which I believe is Maurice.
Yes. And can you say trap game?
It felt like, look, I told you guys Bryce Young was playing better. Y'all didn't want to listen.
Yes, he is. He is. He's playing a lot better since he got benched. Good for him. He doesn't look like a complete bust of a first pick. So good for him. I mean, their passing game still has a long way to go. But the combination of Bryce Young to Adam Thielen, it did a couple numbers on us on our defense on Sunday's game. But overall, it was a trap game. It felt like a trap game. But kudos to my team for overcoming the trap game. And we got the W. We beat the Carolina Panthers 22-16. Listen, I'm not going to admit it. I'm not going to lie. Admit it, I should say. It came down to a Leggett drop. If you would have caught that, it would have been tough for us with a couple of 40 seconds, something seconds left in the full quarter. But fortunately for us, he dropped the ball. And as I always say, a win is a win. But overall, our defense, it looked a little... they weren't perfect. I'll say that.
I mean, you guys only gave up 16 points. It's not like it was bad.
Yeah, I mean, but it's Bryce Young. I mean,
I play him better. He pushed the Chiefs. He pushed you guys. Like something clicked for the guy. And look, He has decent weapons. Sanders, Leggett.
Well, Sanders is out for the season.
That's right. He didn't play.
Chuba Hubbard was the running back, and he looked pretty good.
Oh no! You're thinking of Brooks is out for the season. I was talking about the tight end Sanders.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they still got Miles Sanders.
No. I was talking about
Jonathan Brooks.
No. I was talking about the tight end, the rookie that they drafted out of Texas.
Yeah.
What's his name?
Jatavion Sanders.
Jatavion. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah,
I wanted him from the Commanders, but that's
By the way,
solid.
That sucks for Jonathan Brooks too.
2 years in a row. Ooh.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, that's man.
In the same knee too.
Yeah, we're gonna talk more about injuries later.
I need to pull Juwan Blair and just play without ACLs. Basketball player.
That's basketball. Anyway. Yeah. Anyway, back to the Eagles. Yeah, we overcame the trap game. We're 11-2 now. Our offense looked out of sync. I'll say that. And I'll get back to the offense in a second because there's a lot of controversy after the game. And only in Philadelphia, we can win 9 games in a row, tie the franchise record, 9 straight consecutive wins. We are 11-2, fighting for a number 1 seed. And the controversy after the game is something else. Only in Philadelphia. I mean, what else can I say about that? But real quick, defense, they only had 1 sack. Of course, that was by Zach Bond. Shout out Emmanuel Acho. He's saying Zach Bond should be considered for Defensive Player of the Year. I don't know about that, but he's having a great year, though. I'll give him
He's probably
going
to get Defensive Player of the Week for sure. I was looking at him, honestly.
Yeah, Zach Bond he's balling, man. He's balling. Kudos to him. Salute to him. But besides that, we only had 1 sack. We had 1 interception, C.J. Gardner-Johnson. The defense overall, they looked a little out of sync, but when the game was on the line, they got the stop. Shout out to Darius Slay. But yeah, the defense was okay. The defense was fine. Back to the offense, though. Because the offense is where the controversy comes in at. Jalen Hurts went 14 for 21 for 108 yards. He had 2 touchdowns. And he had a rushing touchdown. He had 3 touchdowns on the day. You would think that would be a good game, but he only passed for 108 yards. The offense itself looked pedestrian. I think Daniel Orlovsky said it looks elementary. We talked about this, me and Lucas, on this pod for weeks now. Less is more with Jalen Hurts. Well, this was more than less. This was, I don't even know how you would say that in subtraction. If you
look at the amount of passing attempts, it's within his range. It was just like he wasn't going for the deep bomb like he normally did. And maybe that's a buy. I didn't get to watch the game all that much, but it's not like Carolina has a horrendous defense most of the time. I mean, they got some pieces.
Yeah, they got some pieces. Shout out J.C. Horn. They got some good pieces on their defense. The issue with Jalen Hurts is, I think, and this is just my opinion, I think he's too conservative. I think he tries to get the perfect pass. And when he doesn't get the perfect pass, he kind of panics in the pocket, scrambles around, tries to stretch the play out, get something on the run. Listen, I've mentioned many times on this podcast about Jalen Hurts and his turnovers. When Jalen Hurts doesn't turn the ball over, we have a high percentage chance of winning the game. When he does turn the ball over, things get weird. He doesn't turn the ball over after about, I want to say, week 4, after the bye. He hasn't really turned the ball over, but it's come with him just not taking any risk whatsoever. And we see that in the pass yardage. He's just not really, you got to let it loose at some point. Once we get into the playoffs and we're playing the Packers or the Vikings or the Buccaneers, or whoever comes out of the South, or the Rams, we gotta put some pass yardage out there. We can't rely on Saquon to run for 200 yards in the playoffs. I mean, it's just, you got to air it out, and he has the weapons to do it for sure. He just has to be a little bit less conservative, and more controversy came after the game with A.J. Brown. He was asked a question by the media, and he was asked what's wrong with his offense, and he pretty much came out and said it's the passing. Now, you can interpret that many ways. Most people interpret it as him basically saying Jalen has to be better. And then after that, a day later, Brandon Graham, one of the veterans on the team, said that Jalen and AJ Brown's relationship, they're not really close right now. They were friends for a long time, but now they're not really that close, or maybe they're not friends right now. And he kind of walked that back today. He said he wanted to apologize to them personally, and he kind of walked back that statement. I don't know, but this is all unnecessary noise coming out of the Eagles camp right now, and we don't need it. We went through a lot last season, just falling off a cliff at the end of the season with noise going on. I still don't know what happened, to be honest with you, last season. But we don't need that this year. This is good vibes. We have good vibes. Overall, this is a talented team. We can still get better on offense, but right now, simply put, I just need Jalen Hurts to play better.
I mean,
because
look,
at the end of the day, before you go, Lucas, I'm going to say this. At the end of the day, Jalen Hurts is our franchise quarterback.
Yeah.
You don't only go as far as your franchise quarterback takes you. Now, you can have a great defense, don't get me wrong. Unless it's the 2000 Ravens, you're not winning the Super Bowl just off your defense. Your quarterback has to do something. So, my recommendation to Jalen Hurts, if he hears this, what's up? If you hear this, Jalen, let it rip. Let it rip, man. I going into the playoffs, we need this offense to be rolling. I need AJ Brown to get more than 4 catches for 43 yards. I need more from Devontae Smith. He only had 4 catches for 37 yards, although he had a touchdown. 37 yards and 43 yards from your 2 best receivers is not enough. Simply not enough. And I'll let you go. I just want to shout out Saquon. He had 20 carries for 124 yards. He broke the franchise record for rushing in his first season with the Philadelphia Eagles, passing LaShawn McCoy. He's a little over 300 yards away from breaking the rushing title. I mean,
4 games left. I mean,
he has 4 games left. There's a little part of me that wants him to break it in 3, just so the naysayers and doubters can say, "Oh, he had one more game than Eric Dickerson." Nah, I want him to break it in 3 games just to quiet that crowd. But shout out to Saquon. He's an amazing player, already in the Mount Rushmore running backs for the Eagles, and he's got years to go, man. Shout out to him. But what you guys got to say?
well, I was just going to chime in on the Hertz thing. And, a friend of the podcast, C-Web, was on, and you and him got into a little bit of a heated debate last year. Because he essentially said that both Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley are the same type of quarterback game managers. Now, while I think that Hurts...
Jalen Hurts?
Sorry, Jalen Hurts. I said Saquon Barkley, yeah. Jalen Hurts and Daniel Jones are the same type of quarterback, which are basically game managers. Well, I don't necessarily agree that, Daniel Jones would have done the same things that Hurts would have done with the weapons in Philly. I just don't believe that at all. I do. We talked about less is more with Hurts, and doesn't that sound like a game manager to you? Now, granted, I think Hurts' deep ball is what makes him unique from other game managers. Because you think of game managers, you think of like Alex Smith, Jimmy Garoppolo, guys that don't necessarily have a deep ball. But Hurts does have the deep ball, and he has the short dump off passes. But the intermediate passes have always been a problem for Hurts. So I honestly think that, in a sense, Hurts is essentially a game manager for you guys. Now, he does it differently than the traditional game manager, and there's nothing wrong with that. You have elite weapons, so it works. This is not a bad thing that I am saying. I am just is something that I have noticed with Hurts.
My retort to that is, you've seen Jalen Hurts play great, right?
Oh yeah. I'm not saying that he can't step up in the big moments, but for the what this team needs from him, is a game manager that's a deep ball threat.
Well, I think that we know Jalen Hurts can do it. It's just that he has to be put in a position, and I'm not putting that all on Kellen Moore. I mean, obviously, I think Kellen Moore would want Jalen Hurts to pass more because that's Kellen Moore's DNA. But I think it's more on Jalen just letting it rip. Like I said, man, I mean, you can't be so conservative. There's guys open. He doesn't want to pass into them in certain situations. He doesn't want to get the interception. Interception, he doesn't want to get picked off. Like, he's just missing open guys. There's throws out there to be made. I've seen the clips. I've seen the tapes on a lot of the passing offense, and it's there. I just need Jalen Hurts to let it go, man. Sling it. But to answer your question, though, I think he's better than a game manager. I think right now he's playing like a game manager. But with that said, we still got a couple more weeks to fix this. Now, Earl, you got anything?
I got something. Just to touch base on everyone and what they said about Hurts and everything. You're going to have to figure out what you will want Hurts to do because his DNA is running the ball. But some people want him to sling the ball. Now, the determination factor is, do you cold-heartedly believe that you really want Jalen Hurts to sling the ball more than he is doing running the ball? And it seems like the DNA of this team right now is running the ball. Now, if it's a shift of focus where if you can do 30 for 30 when it comes to running the ball while still being able to open up play action and other things where you're not always in shotgun, then you can work on him doing that. But I think with it being so close to the end of the season, him trying to go into slinging that thing, it's kind of a lost cause. If it's something that wasn't fully implemented in the installment, it's a problem. So basically right now, you guys are a run-based team where you're going to have to figure out a common game plan to fit in a package where you got certain times of passing the ball. Now, Maurice, do you feel like you're really confident in Jalen Hurts throwing the ball not only by a deep ball, but doing more short passes and more inside attacking the middle of the field type of quarterback tendencies?
I am confident in that because we've seen it on the biggest stage. Jalen Hurts passed like 400 yards in the Super Bowl. Like, I've seen it done. He can do it again. He has it in him to do it. And going back to what you were saying about running, let me ask you this, Earl. Do you think the way the Eagles offense is constructed right now in the regular season, where we're giving the ball to Saquon, he's running it, and Jalen Hurts is doing minimum at best, do you think we could win a Super Bowl that way?
No.
No, because it hasn't worked for Lamar Jackson.
Right. Because you really haven't, if you go back and look at what the Eagles did back in the 2016, 2017 season where they won their chip, you saw that there was an overall balance where they had Jay Ajayi, they had LeGarrette Blount, but then you also had Alshon Jeffries, and then you had the other receivers that you had there. You had Zach Ertz. So, and you had Kenjon Barner, the running back, who can catch passes out of the backfield. You had a lot of tools to work to create the orchestra that y'all did. Do you feel like not only that with what Saquon, and then you got Smitty, and then you got AJ, and then you got Goddard, you have those pieces, but overall as a whole, do you feel like the line can wait and be strong enough to do pass protection as well as they do for run protection?
Oh yeah,
I think if you get that figured out and to at least find a common identity going into the postseason, that's what's going to get your ticket. Because you also got to look and see what the other teams, especially those top three, are doing. You know what Detroit is doing with their balance of running as well as passing the ball. Even though Goff doesn't like sling the ball as much as he does, he still can get the ball. He's got speed. He's got the deep threats. Now, he's more of a pocket quarterback compared to Hurts, but you're also building a passing style to Hurts where he's more of a run-based, run-first quarterback. So it's just a determination factor to see what they can do these next couple of weeks going into the postseason, see if they can change something. But that's going to be on Kellen Moore and what Sirianni wants to do. One could be saying run the ball, the other one could be passing the ball. But they need to find a common ground where they can meet in the middle to have both.
Nothing else on this offense is broken besides Jalen Hurts passing. Our offensive line is great. Passing and rushing, our offensive line is great. We got one of the best offensive lines. I mean, the talent is there. I mean, we got the running back, we got the receivers, tight end. I just need Jalen Hurts to just not be as conservative as he's been. And by the way, I'm not saying Jalen Hurts is hurting us. He's not hurting us. He's not killing us. He's not turning the ball over. I just need Jalen Hurts to take it to a next level so we can be a legitimate threat in the playoffs. That's all I'm asking for.
Who knows? He might be able to awaken in the postseason. You never know. You just got to see it week by week and just see how he progresses with that. Maybe he just doesn't have maybe with just having Saquon there, he feels like he doesn't have to overall pass the ball where that's his security blanket. But I don't know, man. Just try to get some confidence with the tight ends. Just kind of build on Hurts' confidence.
Lucas, Mal, you got anything?
Just open up the pass a little bit. But I don't know. They could be just storing stuff for the postseason. You never know.
And on that note, I think we're going to give it to Mal. Mal, let's talk about them Giants.
Oh, yeah, I guess. Let's do that. So this game wasn't really exciting, guys, at all. I went back to New York this weekend, so I was in attendance. It was a fun time. The tailgate was fun. And speaking of the tailgate, I don't know if you guys saw, but this was great. Did you guys see the plane?
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
So there was a plane going over MetLife that said, "Mr. Mara, enough, please fix this dumpster fire." And it just kept circling MetLife while we were all tailgating. It was very funny. And so post-game, they were asking the players about it, and they were asking neighbors about it, and he had a long hesitation. He was just like, "I ain't paid for the plane." So big thing on Giants Twitter is we're trying to figure out who paid for the plane, but I think all of us would have chipped in if we knew that was happening. So it wasn't really exciting. New Orleans and the Giants wasn't a high-scoring game at all. New Orleans won 14-11. Like I said, just no offensive identity on either side. Alvin Kamara couldn't even get going. He only had 44 yards, which I was shocked about. But the Giants defense played pretty decent. Trey Hawkins III had our second interception of the season, but unfortunate for him, he fractured his lumbar spine, so he's now on IR.
Ooh, prayers.
Yeah.
Ooh, that is rough.
Yeah, it's rough.
Prayers up.
Yeah, and he had a really good game, and he was, it was nice to see him getting more reps in there, now that the season's been over. So we got to see a little more of him, and that's just a brutal blow for him. Brian Burns and Kayvon Thibodeau each recorded a sack. So they did, the defense played pretty well. Like I said, they contained Alvin Kamara, which I didn't think was going to happen. Offense was pretty stagnant. Tyrone Tracy was the only one who had a touchdown, but he only had about 45 yards. Drew Lock had more rushing yards than him. He had 59, so he was making some plays with his legs there. Another, no touchdown game and an interception. Guys, in the end, it's like beating a dead horse. The Giants are just not a good football team. They're in full-on tank mode, and you could tell they were in full-on tank mode because the defense had the stop, and we were able to tie it to go to overtime. And Graham Gano misses, a 34-yard field goal? You can't even make this up, guys. We figure out new ways to lose every week. It's just so funny. I think, actually, when we were there, more people were cheering for the missed field goal. Giants fans were cheering. Because at that point, we're so bad, guys. Number one pick is coming in hot. We'll see what happens with that. But we're in a dogfight with the Raiders. I just don't think with our upcoming schedule we'll see another win. So looking like the Giants will pick pretty high this year.
I don't know. I mean, the Raiders are now on QB3 with Desmond Ridder by the sounds of it.
I mean, honestly, Drew Lock isn't much better. So we'll see what happens. We literally scored 11 points. 11. And the Saints are not a good team in any way, shape, or form. So
Can we try Tommy DeVito again? Just saying.
honestly, you might see him again.
I would like that very much.
Yeah, you might see him again. So that would be exciting. Like I said, just play whoever, have fun with it. Next week versus the Ravens will be ugly, but we'll get into that later. My player of the game is Trey Hawkins with our second interception. I think he had a really good game. Oh, and one other thing that I wanted to mention was that Smith Marset. He's been actually pretty good as a punt returner for us. He basically almost had a punt return touchdown, but it was negated by a holding. So that was unfortunate. I really wanted that for him because he's been working really hard.
Don't it just suck when you get those holding calls on punt or kickoff returns?
Yeah, it's because we don't get punt returns often, so it was an exciting moment, but is what it is. Embrace the tank. Don't really have much more to say. Like I said, it wasn't really an exciting game, but like I said, it was fun. I got to be in New York with everybody for a while. There was still a lot of Giants fans that showed up. I was actually pretty shocked. I got to hang out with our friend Dan while we tailgated. So everything was cool. It was a nice experience, even though it's been a terrible season. But I don't know if you guys have any comments. If you do, I mean, we talk about the same thing every week. Chime in.
Now, let me ask you this: while you were watching the game, are there any standout players besides the obvious, like Tyrell Tracy or someone like that, Brian Burns? Is there any other players that stuck out to you while watching the game? Because when you watch the game live in person in the stadium, you kind of get a different view of the best players or the players that's making an impact on the field.
Yeah, no, I actually love that question. So like I said, Trey Hawkins had a really nice game. Like I said, he was our 6th-round pick from last year, and we thought he was going to be much better than he actually was, but he actually had a pretty nice game. So he looked really good. Our 2nd-round pick, Tyler Nubin, looked really good. The main problem that I saw in person that I haven't really noticed, and like you can tell because of how things have been going, like Brian Burns and Kayvon Thibodeau were having a really hard time getting any pressure on Derek Carr. It was like, I remember saying to my dad, I looked over to him, I'm like, where is the pass rush? Like it was more so David Carr. Oh my God. Derek Carr making mistakes. I'm talking about his brother now. It was mainly Derek Carr making mistakes and like the receivers not running their routes completely and Alvin Kamara just being shut down in the middle of the field, which like I said, that was pretty crazy. That was really kind of on Elijah Chapman. He had a really good game. Who's stepping up for Dexter Lawrence, and Micah McFadden had a really good game. He has been kind of, he's been kind of not really existent most of the season, but he showed out, and seeing him, he was all over the field on Sunday. So it was nice to see him kind of have his little breakout there. Thanks for the question, Maurice. That was a good one.
Can we get more of Tommy DeVito and Bryce Ford Wheaton? I want to see Bryce Ford Wheaton. Look, if their season's already tanking, why not?
Bryce Ford Wheaton actually, it was funny because on the first kickoff of the game, he made the tackle, and I was like, Lucas would be so proud.
See, I am proud already. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I needed that.
Earl, Lucas, you guys got anything, or are we ready to move on?
I think we're good. I think we
can
get
go.
to.
Yeah.
I think Earl. I know you called me during the game last. I called you, and then you called me during the game last night. Preach to us today, Earl. Give us the good or bad word.
Yeah, I don't know if I got much preaching today, but I could tell you the game yesterday really hurt me to my heart. I feel like I got punched in the jaw just with everything that took place in the game. I got a chance to see this team play probably one of their best games, especially with some of their guys coming back from being on the shelf. And I just feel like it kind of got squandered towards the end of the game. The Dallas Cowboys lost 27-20 against the Cincinnati Bengals. This is the first time the Bengals have beaten Dallas in Dallas since 1988. And one thing that I noticed from this game is that from my defense, I felt bad for what the defense did because they held a high-scoring offense to basically 20 points going towards the tail end of the game. And they fulfilled an assignment that was kind of challenging for most, that you're able to keep Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Chase Brown, and their tight ends to pretty much under 20, going within at least into 5 minutes left in the game. That shows you fulfilled your mission. You didn't give up too many big plays at that point in time. And I just feel like the game just kind of got taken away from everybody, especially with the block punt situation and Amari Owarie trying to pick up the punt and muffed it. So it's just kind of, it really just flattened a lot of fans who really wanted this game, regardless of draft slot situations. This game really meant a lot to everyone, and those who really wanted Dallas to win this game, it didn't happen. And on top of that, wanted to touch base on one player in particular that I had high praises for a week ago, and just seeing the progression to what this player has done during this season. Demarion Overshown tore his right ACL, MCL, and PCL. And it's to the point where he's done for the year and he might not return till the 2026 season. So I just want to send prayers to him, especially through his recovery, as well as having a successful surgery.
Yeah, that's so horrible. I feel so bad for him.
Yeah.
He basically tore every ligament in his knee outside
his knee exploded.
Wow.
And on the play that I saw it, my heart just sunk for it, because this man just got back from having a torn ACL in his other knee in his second preseason game. And just to see him get through 14 games and he's on the shelf again and won't see the rest of this season or more than likely the 2025 season, and possibly see him in the 2026 season, that really hurt my heart. I was in tears, because to go through the mindset, to get your mind right, to come back, and then you got to go back to square one again. Yeah, I just feel for him. And I just want to send as strong message to him. If he hears this, Demarion Overshown, you're a phenomenal dude. You are one of God's soldiers, and there's no battle that he wouldn't put you through that I believe you can fight this, and I believe you will. And I just want to send as many prayers as I can from the 13 Rings podcast crew. We send prayers up to you as well through your recovery.
Yep.
Back to the game.
Yep.
One thing that went wrong in this game was mainly the injuries, where Cooper Beebe, he had a concussion in the game. They said he had some concussion symptoms. He actually returned in the game, but I hope he's all right going into the next game. And then on special teams, Goodwin, who's pretty much our gunner, he was out with a foot injury during the exact time of when the block punt happened. And they have rookie Owarie out there. And for them bashing the kid, you shouldn't slam him for that. Yeah, it was a mistake, but it's a teachable moment where when when there's a block, stay away from the ball. If it goes forward past the line of scrimmage, do not touch the ball. If it goes behind, scoop, score. It's just, I don't want to take that to deteriorate the game that I saw, because I got a chance to see Cowboys football, and I haven't seen that in a very long time. I saw them running the ball. I saw them playing defense. It was one of those old school type of Cowboy games where I don't want to singly give credit to some of the players. I'm going to give them to the offense and defense and partial special teams. They played a solid game and just ended abruptly. Another thing that went wrong was Coach McCarthy. I really think it's time for him to resigned from his play calling duties, where it seems like they're not understanding what common sense truly is, and they're just kind of like, we don't need common sense. Why would you decide to, as soon as you get the ball back, why wouldn't you run out the clock? Do not give the Bengals another opportunity where you know the run game is working to the point that your running back is having 7.3 yards a clip whenever he touches the ball. Rico Dowdle could have hit 200 some yards if you would have just continued to feed him the rock. That 30 for 30 that you preach about, Mike McCarthy, it's hard to defend you after this, knowing that the Jones has got you like controlled like a puppet. And I don't know, it's just for you, I think you don't have it in you. And what I mean by that is when the game gets going and where you as a play caller got to adjust, where you got to add different shifts into your play calling, as well as having the mindset to know what is working, you don't have it. I'm sorry. And whatever case Dak Prescott has and some players have where they are fighting for you, I don't know. That's kind of hard to believe now, especially after this game where you know that the run game was working and you decide to break a run for 14 yards and then you just pass. Why would you put Cooper Rush in that situation knowing he doesn't have a strong arm to make those passes where you know the run game is what's destroying the defense of the Bengals and you just get away from it? And I honestly believe he really doesn't know that he's hurting the defense, or maybe he does. But just from a really good game plan, especially from Mike Zimmer, you just really just let down the defense. You let down the team with just not being able to control the clock and control this game. You worried more about pass attempts instead of the TOP, and that's going to get you every time, homie. But I'm going to go with what went right in this game. The defense showed up. Micah Parsons, he did his thing. The secondary finally got a chance to play together with Trayvon Diggs, Deron Bland, Jordan Lewis. It was almost like a full healthy display on the secondary. Yeah, there were some plays they gave up, but they really didn't have anything that was like too game breaking. And I just think at the end of the game when Chase got that 40-yard touchdown, yeah, I think their spirit was just busted after that block punt attempt and failed to recover the ball and so on from that. But overall, I feel like Mike Zimmer really got these guys coached up, and it just kind of hurts my heart to see that Mike Zimmer might lose his job after this season, after dealing with everything that the Joneses have put up, everything what the offense has done, really haven't gotten the players that he needs and working with just bag of chip gummy bear money, dealing with players and putting them in the best position to succeed. So I just really hope Mike Zimmer can get a chance where he can come back, because I really want to see how this team is, especially with most of pretty much all their guys healthy while still having some pieces in development for guys. But yeah, for that, I played defense. I played football. And when you know that you put out your blood, sweat, and tears into this game, and then a play where a Warrior want to play hero ball and try to recover a ball instead of letting it just stand away from the ball after the block punt. Yeah, that's just demoralizing. And I understood what Micah was when he left the field before time expired. Was that, yeah, his emotions was on 10. And for that, yeah, I stand beside him on that, because, yeah, his leadership kicked in, but it's also just the frustration of everybody. And I just think for those that was really bashing Micah, you just got to look at how passionate he is about the game, but also wants his team to succeed. But yeah, it's just a game that just really just gut check you. But at the same time, you move up in the tankathon spot, not in like a top 10, but you're kind of in the sweet spot where you're around 12 and 18. And around that time, at one point, you got Micah. So who knows? We might be able to get another gem at that point. But my player of the game, I'm going to give it to Rico Dowdle. I feel like he was robbed of even more of a bigger game where he had 18 carries for 131 yards, his career high on yards. I feel like he could have hit the 200 mark with that. But he's my player of the game. I digress.
Yeah, I think Rico is really starting to shine now. Good for him. We'll see if he can continue this for sure. But I think you touched on a lot of great things. I don't really have anything else to add. What about you guys?
No, I mean, I think Earl hit it on the head there. Tough loss, but we move.
Yeah, that was a tough one. I can't even blame the guy for touching the punt ball. That's just an instinct thing.
Yeah. And I just really don't want anybody like hitting this man with death threats or anything like that, because it's one that you learn from. But at that time, it was some mistakes at that point in time where you have your coach not fully utilizing the run game, where in that situation you really wouldn't have been in that particular point in time. And I don't know, for right now he's Leon Lett 2.0. So
ooh. Real quick before we move on, I just got one question. Are you surprised they haven't gone to Trey Lance at all? Or do you think they'll let him play at all this season?
From what Jerry spoke on today on 103.5 The Fan, they're sticking with Cooper Rush. He gives them the best chance to win, where I don't know at this point. I would love to see Trey Lance. I think it's time for him to play. But yeah, I think we're just doomed on a 4th round pick spent on him, and really haven't seen what progression he has done except for the preseason. So yeah, I don't think we're going to see Lance.
Okay.
I want to see Lance, but they're not going to play him.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like it. But let's go ahead and switch to the mailbag. And we got 2 good questions this week, right, Maurice?
Yes, we do. The first mailbag question comes to us from Twitter. Shout out L Helsinki. Hope I said that right. Helinsky, excuse me. Ed Helinsky. His question was, what's the biggest surprise this season so far? The success of the Eagles and Commanders, or watching the Cowboys and Giants soil themselves?
I think this question really comes down to what's more surprising: the Cowboys, like having a bad season, or the Commanders, coming in strong with a new head coach, new regime, and everything. I think that's what the real question is, because like everybody thought the Eagles were going to be good. Not many people, sorry Mal, did not think that the Giants were going to have like a really great season. So the question is, what's more surprising? Commanders coming in at second in the division, leading the division for a good chunk of the season, or the Cowboys just not having it together? I think it's probably more the Cowboys, because the Cowboys is everybody's team. Everybody expects the Cowboys, who just paid their best players, to come in and play well.
Well,
I don't know. That's just me.
Well, when you have a team that goes through the amount of injuries that the Cowboys did, that was mostly some of their position pieces, their key focal point of the team, where who knows, maybe if they were healthy, we could see what progression they have, especially under Zimmer and then McCarthy. But yeah, it was just a bad hand. The football guys were not kind to us, and whatever bad juju or karma Jerry Jones made a deal with, yeah, it's just reaping what it sowed. I'm going to say it's dealing with the Washington team as well as the Eagles, especially with their progression, with their weapons, and just seeing what the Washington team has with their new franchise quarterback and just seeing how the team under a new regime and just a refreshing thing, getting out that toxicity with Snyder and so on from that, just seeing how well they are playing from that.
Yeah, just to answer the question, I think it's definitely the Cowboys. We thought the Cowboys would be contenders, at least to win the division. And they're not there. So, yeah, I think it's definitely the Cowboys.
Yeah, I'm shocked about the Cowboys as well, but that's it. That's how the cookie crumbled.
That's how the cookies crumble.
It happens.
Earl, now, we talked before we got on the pod. Do you want me to do this segment, or do you got the energy for it?
I think I got the energy for it.
Okay.
Yeah, give me a second.
Wait a minute. We have another question.
Oh, that's right. We did have another question.
Carry on.
That was such a good one. Sorry, that was such a good one. We got distracted. Go ahead.
Yeah. The other question comes from Facebook. Shout out John DeLoynes.
Yeah. He's one of our regulars on Facebook. Shout out, bud. We appreciate you commenting on our stuff and interacting with our posts. Absolutely, and following us.
Yeah,
salute.
Salute. So
he's an Eagles fan, by the way.
Yes. This is a deep cut, so I'm assuming he's an Eagles fan. Mm-hmm. Do you think Alshon Jeffrey was the reason Eagles didn't make it to another Super Bowl while he was on the team? That was something I tried to forget. But after our Super Bowl year, the 2018 NFL playoffs, we lost a game in the Superdome to the Saints. And Alshon Jeffrey had a pass from Nick Foles that was right on the hands, and he dropped it. And that would have put us in a position to win that game and go on to the championship game. And, he dropped it. And I don't think Alshon Jeffrey was the same player here in Philadelphia after that. And that was a tough break. At least he went down there fighting, which we rarely do for some reason. The Eagles just don't play well down there, but won this year, so I guess that's
well. If that's the key to the segue with what you see with the team now, Maurice, do you feel like AJ Brown can be at least a better version of Alshon Jeffries?
Oh yeah, he is a better version of Alshon Jeffrey
if he gets the amount of touches that he can. So
he's a much better receiver, and we have a better receiver too in Devontae Smith. So I don't know if there's a correlation between that team and this team, but I want to get back to what I was saying earlier. But our quarterback just needs to take a little bit more risk and sling the football, and we'll be okay. Well, we can move on.
All right. It's time for Who's That Football Player? This football player played with the New York Giants back in the 2009 season. This player had 16 starts, 1 fumble recovery, 5 penalties with 5 false starts, career awards, 2-time Super Bowl champ, and a 1-time Pro Bowler. Guys and gal, who's that football player?
I picked them, so I can't go.
I can't do it either, but Earl, what was that whistle from? Like, I know you got it from somewhere.
Everyone played the Nintendo Wii?
No, I haven't.
I didn't really play
I have a long time ago, man.
If you get a chance, check out the Wii Sports Bowling. You'll know what I'm talking about.
Okay, then.
Okay, first of all, Wii bowling is hilarious, but we won't get sidetracked. I just need to make that comment.
Nice throw.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Ooh, this is a tough one. What was the year again?
2009.
I got nothing.
Yeah.
Wait, so who doesn't know this answer besides me?
I know it, but Earl has to guess too.
So basically, this is a question for me.
I don't know if I'm right. I don't know if I'm right.
Yeah,
I don't know.
All right, so
Earl could get it wrong.
Earl has a high hit percentage here.
That
usually he's right.
That he is telling the truth. But I don't know. This one
Yeah.
kind of stumped me a bit. I was torn between
I'll
two
be
players.
honest, it was very hard for me to find stats for this player. Because normally I can do stats with PFF, but they did not have any for this player.
All right, so let me take a stab at it. 2009, so he won both Super Bowls with Eli and the company.
Mm-hmm.
He's a one-time Pro Bowler.
He's an offensive lineman, if that wasn't clear.
I don't even remember Giants offensive lineman from that era.
I do. Cold hearted.
I got enough. I got enough. Go ahead, Earl.
All right. I'm gonna say David Deal.
I feel like bro
You-
is looking
you
up these
cheated.
stats.
I did
You
not cheat. I did
cheated.
not.
I
I did
personally
not.
made this
No
one
way.
more difficult to try and stump Earl.
Like, I almost told Mal not to do it because, like, I couldn't find any stats, and I felt like Giants fans would not know who this is.
Are we putting accusations on Earl here?
That I
That
don't
is-
know.
Y'all are not gonna give me the credit, even though that I have a high percentage on football. You are really discrediting my football knowledge. Are you
I would
serious?
never discredit you, Earl, ever.
No, I feel like Lucas is like, you might
Why
have
am
a
I
point
being
there.
Earl or Maurice was the one that was calling you out, not me. I was just agreeing.
Well, whoever was calling me out,
If the
I-
football glove doesn't fit, you must have quit.
Oh. Is it too
and I'm
soon?
too legit to quit.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Anyway.
But yeah, David Deal, he was on that Super Bowl championship line and pretty much secured 2 rings where I really didn't want New England to get those. So at that common ground, I was in alliance during that time because I did not want to see the Patriots win, especially them going undefeated. That only deserves to the 1970 Miami Dolphins. Y'all can pop y'all champagne, apple juice, cider, whatever you want. But yeah. He was a phenomenal player. And yeah, the Giants had some key offensive linemen, and he was definitely one of them.
If you listen to Tom Brady call football games now, he's still salty about them 2 Giants.
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah.
absolutely.
He
Eli trolls him too. I love it.
it's great. Gosh, they didn't really bring that up in the roast all that much. But
What's
anyway,
crazy is Tom Brady could have had 9 Super Bowls. That's crazy.
he could've.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's two teams that really could have stopped that. Well, I guess they didn't get the memo. Run the ball and blow a 28-3 lead. So yeah,
He couldn't beat NFC East teams.
No.
In the Super Bowl.
yeah, that's the kryptonite because the losses
there
he
we
did
go.
have.
Our division, the oldest and greatest. Well, I don't know if it's the oldest, but it's
Well,
one of the oldest.
I mean, as a recent, he couldn't
Yeah,
beat the NFC East teams, but he did get the Eagles back in 2004.
Yeah, sure.
So anyway, good game, good G's, good GG's there. So anyway, let's get to the trivia now. No, wait, some poll first, right?
Poll question. Yeah, we only have one, so it'll be short and sweet. It was just the Eagles poll this week. So where does Eagles quarterback Jalen Hurts rank among other QBs in the NFC East division? First, second, third, or fourth? And most people said first. I agree.
Okay, yeah, I would.
And let me say this because I know Lucas wants to say this.
I know what he wants to say. He's not saying it, though.
Jaden Daniels is still number 1 in Pro Bowl voting.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, I
Wow, I'm surprised you really haven't said anything about that.
I'm on a bye week, guys. I am not trying. Like I said, the only Commanders news that we have that is relevant is that Jamison Crowder is in his 21-day window to return.
How about Marshawn Lattimore?
He is getting close. It seems like he's going to... All trends are going towards he's going to make his debut against his old team, but there's nothing set certain yet. He's been doing a lot of, full speed stuff, but he hasn't done any cutting or change of speed stuff yet, last time I checked.
Okay.
Okay.
And yeah, we're just
getting there.
We're just making sure, Lucas, because I know back a couple of podcasts ago you were cashing in receipts. So yeah.
I mean, look, we've already gotten higher than expected, and Jaden Daniels still looks pretty darn good. So, look, we struggle to get the NFC East. We know divisional games are really fickle here, and if we end second in the division, I'm not going to complain about it.
You guys are going to
Now, I
probably
will say
be in the
I am
playoffs,
slightly worried about the playoff hunt because right now the Rams are only a game behind us.
All y'all got to do is take care of business.
Yeah, as long as we don't lose out and they don't win out, I think we'll be okay.
Hey, we'll see if this bye week is good enough for y'all.
We definitely needed it. But that being said, let's get to the trivia question. Earl, this one, this is Cowboys one, so I fully expect you to get this one right.
Oh, great.
Yeah. Who are the two Dallas Cowboys quarterbacks who have tied for the most interceptions in a single season with 25 in franchise history? 25 INTs in a single season.
And only you would create this trivia.
To be fair, I've done a lot of Cowboys trivia, and it's first off, your franchise started in 1960, so it basically counts for the whole Super Bowl era. Secondly, look, I made this trivia before knowing what the result of the other night's game was, so it is what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is. Would you want me to go first?
I'll save you for last.
Okay.
Mal, who do you think the two are?
Okay. One is definitely Danny White.
Okay.
And for the second one, I'm stuck between two. I'm stuck between Troy Aikman. Yeah, I'll go Troy Aikman and Danny White.
Okay, fair. Maurice?
I was thinking about Romo. I don't know if Romo played a lot of years, the crew that made the interceptions.
No, it's just a single season record.
Oh, okay.
Single season. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I'm going Romo. And Aikman had a couple bad seasons early on. Like his first two seasons, he was not good.
Okay.
So I'm going to go Aikman, Romo.
Okay, and Earl, who do you got?
Danny White is correct for one.
Yep.
The next one is Eddie LeBaron.
LeBaron. Yes, and Earl, you are correct. Eddie LeBaron.
I don't even know who Eddie LeBaron is.
He was the first quarterback with the Cowboys back in the 1960 season. Their debut. They were 0-11 and one tie.
Yep, and that was the season that he had 25 interceptions.
Maurice, I was between Aikman and Romo for the second one.
Look, it's not an easy question. Like, it was a little tricky.
And then Danny White, this was his first season after Roger Staubach retired, that he ended up getting these 25 interceptions in his first season as a starter.
Yes, I remember that. That's why I was certain on him. I just didn't know who the other guy was.
No, but I thought it was a good question.
It was good.
Did you know right away, or did you need to think about it for a second?
I knew it was Danny White, but then I had to go back and just kind of see during that time because some things weren't mathing. Because I was like, yeah, Troy Aikman, Romo. I was like, let me go back in the heyday, see what happened. So I came across the 1960 season and I was like, oh, yeah, that's 25. So,
all right. Well, on that note, Earl, you have two prospects this week, right?
Yes. Let me get those real quick. I have two NFL draft prospects. Finesse, two of them.
Read them and weep.
The first prospect I have is for the Washington Football Wizards. In the sixth round, I have them selecting Nicholas Singleton, running back from Penn State. This guy is 6 foot, 227 pounds. Some of his strengths, he's a balanced runner as well as a pass catching back. Kind of probably a baby Saquon, if I could say, especially with just his build and just his ability to run the football. He's a dynamic running back. Some people don't have him high on their draft board, where I think Washington can sneak in the draft in the later rounds to pick him up in day 3. Some of his weaknesses, he is bad with pass blocking, and I think over time you could work with him on that. But overall, I think he's a dynamic guy. I think in the combine, he might run a 4.4, where it's kind of in the same range of a Saquon, where, yeah, he came from Penn State, same as Saquon, but the Bills are kind of similar in effectiveness as well.
So I just have one thing to say when it comes to anybody that comes from Penn State. My grandma, and Maurice has met my grandma. You remember Earl? You might have met her too, but Maurice got to visit her during the summer when I was in Delaware, and he came down with another friend of ours to visit. My grandma is a big Penn State person, so whenever I think of her, I think of Penn State. I think of the Big Ten commercial that had Joe Paterno say, "Come to Penn State."
I remember that.
It had Rich Rod as the Michigan head coach at the time. By the way, he might be hired as the West Virginia head coach again. That would be interesting. That being said, go ahead for our next one, Earl.
Will do. The next draft pick I have is for the Philadelphia Eagles in the 5th round of next year's draft. And with that pick, I have them selecting Blake Miller, offensive tackle from Clemson. This guy is 6'6", 315 pounds. He has very good fluid mobility as well as being physical at the point of attack. His agility with his footwork is something that is really good, where in some of his weakness is his run blocking, where I believe that the O-line coach that the Eagles have, he normally works with these guys at the combine. So he gets a kind of a first come, first serve look at certain players. But overall, I think the Eagles can grab this guy in the later round, where if you could, to the point of seeing what you can do, especially with the large linemen that the Eagles have had from past time, you could probably have someone almost not to the same extent, but could have a high ceiling where he could try to implement some things of a Jason Peters if you get him on the right track. But he's one of the prospects I have for the Eagles, especially with their O-line, and maybe he can help Jalen Hurts, especially with a little more just ability to have more pass protection for him.
I love it. The more the merrier when it comes to linemen. Bring him on.
Yeah, he's a big dude. Like, I've seen him on TV, and I'm just like, man, why do I feel like he could be an Eagle? Just especially with their tackles, because they have like very, I don't know, within our division, mainly the Cowboys and Eagles, we got those big old linemen, and it just seems like their schemes are kind of almost similar. Where I think for the Eagles, for Miller, I think that would be a best fit for him.
You can't get no bigger of a guard than Mekhi Becton.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And on that note, let's go ahead and Maurice, how about you review the matchups for this next week, and then we'll go ahead and play ourselves out.
All right, so Week 15 matchups. New York Giants at Baltimore Ravens. I think we all predicted there'll be an L, right?
Yeah, man.
I can't reveal until next week. Sorry.
This is like the Civil War for you, Mal, right?
Yeah, but honestly, I ain't even mad. Like, I've already accepted what's gonna happen.
You know what's crazy?
Is it that R. Kelly song, "My Mind Is Telling Me No"?
Lucas,
yeah, honestly, it just supports the tank. That's it.
Look, you know what's crazy?
What?
The Giants lose by a game-winning field goal by Justin Tucker.
Honestly, I'll cry my eyes out because he needs to get right. So I hope he does that.
We will see.
No, actually the other way around will be worse for Mal.
I think, if Justin Tucker loses the game for the Ravens because of the missed field
and then
goal.
my tank is ruined. Everybody,
look! I can see Mal with her Justin Tucker poster be like, "Stun on him."
Yes, stun on him.
Stunt on him.
I could see her like crying in her room with the Justin Tucker poster in her hands and just be like,
"They're so funny."
I'm sorry, but I have to put you away. You're washed now.
You're washed, King.
That tank is. If you win against the Ravens, that tank is going to have a flat tire.
Yeah, that tank is.
Look, I'm telling you, if they end up surprising and beat the Ravens, Mal is going to be sitting in her bed like Wolverine, looking at the picture of that top draft pick.
Literally, I'm going to cry my eyes out, guys.
All right.
So, Washington Commanders versus the New Orleans Saints.
I got only one phrase to say here. Draft Spencer Rattler.
Is he going to play? It's going to be because I
think
Carr's
there's
injured.
a chance that I know that Derek Carr's in concussion protocol and he has a hand injury, so it's either him or another guy.
And Lucas, if that's the case, Spencer Rattler going to be like, how long I've been waiting for this? Ooh, I'm about to make a name for myself here.
Well, I hope not, but
they will remember this day.
All right, so I think the biggest matchup here: Eagles versus Steelers. Actually, the Eagles are home, so Steelers versus Eagles.
Black and yellow, black and yellow.
The battle of Pennsylvania.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but I will be rooting for y'all. I'll be rooting for
Cole Harley. I wouldn't be surprised he has an Eagles jersey on that day.
Just
for that day. Just for that day.
Because
this is probably no offense. This is probably our toughest matchup for the sort of season right here. The last 4 games, Steelers are playing great.
Oh, it's going to be a battle of physicality through this game.
Battle of PA ensues again.
Actually, in a lot of ways, what Wilson's doing with the Steelers is kind of what Hurts is doing with the Eagles.
Yeah, I was going to say that. I got to walk something back. At the preseason, beginning of this season, kind of do some dirt on Russell Wilson.
Yes, you
he
did.
Actually had a pretty good season.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, he definitely had a comeback player of the year. I don't know, but
maybe.
Yeah, maybe. But Russell Wilson's actually having a really good season.
I might give it to Dante Fowler Jr. Just saying.
All right.
Comeback player of the year?
I mean, he was a rotation guy. Now he's a full-time starter and one of the best sack guys in the NFL.
Well, that's the case. So you could give to Zach Bowen.
Yeah.
I mean, fair. But, we're too soon for awards. We'll talk about that another time.
Oh, okay.
I didn't start the conversation.
Okay.
I just added.
But anyway.
Go ahead to the next game.
Eagles versus Steelers is going to be a really good game. Their defense versus our offense is going to be intriguing, actually. And finally, Panthers versus Cowboys.
Battle of draft position.
Yo, if you guys lose to the Panthers,
I'm cool with the top draft pick.
So Carpe Panesium, are we back on that?
Nah, I mean, till I see we are eliminated, that'll be the determination factor. Right now, we're at 1%. So, yeah.
All right. So with that said, let's end this. Let's get out of here. I want to thank everyone for listening. We want to thank everyone for listening. I don't want to take up all the glory. We want to thank everybody for listening to this podcast episode. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast on Spotify, Apple Music, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music. And while you're at it, check out our YouTube channel. Subscribe to it. Give our latest video a thumbs up, whether it's a blooper, the entire episode, or even an extended clip of one of us talking about our teams. Make sure to follow us on Twitter or X, Instagram, and Facebook at 13_Rings Podcast. Until the next time, have a good day.
See ya.
Bye, y'all.
Love y'all to pixels. Blessings.